It started with the wrong seat on a red-eye flight. I'd been up for almost 20 hours straight, work trip from hell, back-to-back meetings, hotel AC that either froze you or roasted you, and to top it off, an airport delay that pushed my flight into the middle of the night. All I wanted was to sleep. So when I finally got on the plane and found someone already sitting in my aisle seat, 2F, I didn't even have the energy to argue. He looked up from his phone when I hesitated, and that's when I saw him properly. Short, dark curls, sharp jawline, gray hoodie stretched over broad shoulders. Definitely not what I expected to see in seat 2F. He was too intense, too handsome to be sitting there like this was no big deal. "Hey, I think that's actually my seat," I said, trying not to sound as tired or annoyed as I felt. He blinked, then glanced at his boarding pass. "Oh, damn, you're right." He looked around. "My bad. Thought I had 2F. Looks like I'm 3F. You want me to move?" I looked at him, then at the empty seat behind him, and sighed. It was one row back, and I didn't have the energy to repack my bag, just to shift it to another overhead bin. "Nah, it's cool," I muttered. "I'll take yours." He smiled. Quick, a little sheepish, and way too charming for that hour. "Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Wasn't trying to steal your spot." "No worries," I said, sliding into the seat behind him. That should have been the end of it. Just a tired mix-up. But 5 minutes later, as we were taxiing to the runway, he turned around in his seat, twisting so he could look at me through the gap. "I'm Jordan, by the way." "Eli? Nice to meet you, Eli," he said, voice calm and low, like we were the only two people awake. "Let me know if you want to switch back. Or if you want the window." I smiled. "You trying to earn bonus points now?" He shrugged, grinning. "Can't hurt." That's how it began. Just a wrong seat, and a look back. The flight wasn't even 3 hours, but I didn't sleep. I couldn't. Not after that. I kept catching myself staring at the back of his head, wondering who the hell this guy was, and why I suddenly wanted to keep talking to him. By the time we landed, Jordan was waiting just past the jet bridge. He leaned against the terminal wall like he wasn't in any rush. "You live here?" he asked. "Yeah. You?" "Nah, just visiting. Old friend's wedding. I've got a few hours to kill, though." I should have said goodbye. Should have kept walking. But something in the way he looked at me, like he was giving me an open door. I walked through it. "You want coffee?" I asked. He nodded. "Only if we sit by the window. I've got a good feeling about window seats." I laughed, despite the exhaustion, despite everything. And that's how we ended up in a terminal coffee shop at 6 a.m., sharing a tiny table and watching the sky shift from black to pale blue. That's when it hit me. Jordan wasn't just some guy in the wrong seat. This was something else. I don't usually talk to strangers over coffee, especially not at 6 in the morning, at some airport cafe with bad lighting and too many screaming toddlers nearby. But sitting across from Jordan, watching the steam curl from his cup, it didn't feel like talking to a stranger. It felt easy. "So," he said, stirring his coffee lazily, "what do you do when you're not giving up your airplane seat to guys who don't read their boarding passes?" "Graphic design," I said. "Mostly freelance. I make logos, websites, social media stuff for people who think Comic Sans is still a thing." Jordan laughed. Like, really laughed. Not just a polite chuckle. "That sounds painful." "It is," I said, grinning. "You?" "Architect. Final year of grad school, hence the dark circles." I nodded, even though the dark circles looked good on him. The hoodie, the slightly tired eyes, the stubble, it all worked too well. "Where's the wedding?" I asked. He gestured vaguely. "Some vineyard 2 hours north, outside the city. I'm hitching a ride later with another friend from college, but she's not landing until noon." I checked the time. It was barely 6:30. "So you're just gonna hang out here for 6 hours?" He shrugged. "I guess. Unless—" He didn't finish the sentence. Just let the pause hang there between us like a question. I tilted my head. "Unless what?" He smiled, but it was a little cautious this time. "You want to come with?" I blinked. To the wedding? Not the wedding, he said quickly. I mean, just for a drive. Get me out of this airport for a bit. You don't have to stay. I'll buy gas, lunch, whatever. Just, I don't know. I don't feel like being alone today. It was a weird thing to say. A little too honest for someone I barely knew, but maybe that's why it worked, because I got it. I'd had days like that too, where the thought of silence was worse than anything else. I stared at him for a second, then down at my coffee. I didn't have any plans for the day. No meetings, no deadlines. Just an open calendar and a mild hangover from too many red-eye delays. Screw it, I said. I'll drive. Jordan blinked, surprised. Seriously? Seriously. You seem mostly not dangerous. Let's roll. He laughed again, louder this time. Cool, I like impulsive Eli. Don't get used to him. He's sleep-deprived and runs on caffeine. We walked out of the terminal together, both of us carrying nothing but our carry-ons. My car was in long-term parking, dusty from the week. As I unlocked it, Jordan tossed his duffel in the back seat like he'd done it 100 times before. I can navigate, he said, sliding into the passenger seat. Or I can DJ. You're already in my seat, dude, I said. Don't push it, he smirked. You love it. And maybe I did. The highway was empty that early, a smooth stretch of gray disappearing into the hills. I kept sneaking glances at him as he played with the radio, flipping through songs like he was trying to find a vibe that matched the moment. Eventually, he landed on something mellow, Bon Iver or something close to it, and leaned back in his seat, eyes closed. You always this trusting? I asked, after a while. He cracked one eye open. With you? Apparently. I looked away, back to the road. But my grip on the wheel had loosened, and the air between us had shifted again. Lighter now, but with something humming underneath. Like the moment was building towards something we couldn't name yet, or maybe we didn't want to. We stopped at a diner an hour outside the city, the kind of place with faded booths, coffee that tasted like warm regret, and a waitress named Donna who called us sweethearts. Jordan ordered pancakes. I got eggs. Neither of us talked much, but the silence wasn't uncomfortable. When we got back in the car, I asked him the question I'd been circling since we left the airport. Why'd you really ask me to come? He didn't answer right away, just stared out the window as we merged back onto the road. Then he said, quietly, You seem like someone who needed a break too. I didn't say anything. I just kept driving. But I didn't drop him off when we reached the vineyard. Instead, we kept going. We should have stopped. We should have said, well, that was fun, and gone our separate ways. But we didn't. When we got near the vineyard, Jordan asked me to keep driving. I didn't question it. I just kept going. The road narrowed, turned into soft hills and stretches of nothing but golden fields and old trees, the kind of place you only find by accident. We pulled into this small roadside park, barely a few picnic tables and a trailhead with a crooked sign. I killed the engine. Neither of us moved at first. Jordan finally spoke. You ever do something just because it feels good in the moment? I gave him a look. Is this where you confess to being a criminal? He laughed softly. No, I just mean, sometimes you do something you know won't last, or maybe isn't smart, but you still do it because it makes you feel alive. Yeah, I said, voice quieter than I expected. I've done that. He looked at me then, really looked at me. This kind of feels like that. I swallowed. The air in the car had gotten heavier, somehow, more charged. Yeah, I repeated. It does. He sat back, his hand resting on the middle console. It wasn't a big car, so our arms brushed when I moved. He didn't pull away. I'm not usually like this, he said after a moment. Like, what? This spontaneous. This. Forward, I nodded. Me neither, but you don't seem freaked out. I'm not. Why not? I looked at him. Because it's you. That surprised him. I could see it in the way his lips parted, like he wanted to say something, but couldn't quite figure out what. We sat there for a while, not talking. Just breathing in sync in a parked car somewhere in the middle of nowhere. The wind shifted through the trees outside, and a bird landed on the hood, then took off again. Jordan turned toward me. "Can I tell you something?" "Sure." "I almost canceled this trip. Like yesterday, I was this close to bailing." "Why?" He hesitated. "I just didn't feel like being around people. And weddings, I don't know. They make me feel weird, like I'm behind or something, like I'm the only one not figuring it out." I knew that feeling too well. "So why'd you come?" I asked. He looked at me, eyes steady. "Because part of me hoped something unexpected would happen. Something good." I could barely breathe. "You don't even know me," I said, voice barely above a whisper. "I didn't," he said. "But maybe I do a little now." Then, with no warning, he leaned in. Not fast, not aggressive, just a slow, uncertain lean that left all the room in the world for me to stop it. I didn't. Our lips met in the softest, briefest kiss. A brush, really, but it felt like a spark that lit up my whole body. When he pulled back, I was staring at him, heart pounding like it didn't belong to me anymore. "Sorry," he said. "Don't be." He laughed nervously. "You sure?" I nodded, smiling. "Positive." We didn't say much after that, just sat there for another 10 minutes, stealing glances, grinning like idiots, riding that strange, beautiful high of something new. Eventually, he checked the time and sighed. "I should go. Friends probably wondering where the hell I am." "Yeah," I said, my voice lower now. "You probably should." But neither of us moved. "Hey," he said, "can I get your number?" "Only if you promise to text first." I teased. "Done." I typed it into his phone. He double-checked it, then tucked the phone into his jacket pocket. We finally pulled out of the park and drove back toward the vineyard in silence. But it wasn't awkward. Just full. When I dropped him off, he didn't get out right away. He looked at me again with that same expression from the coffee shop, like he was trying to figure out what this was and what to do with it. "This doesn't have to be a one-time thing," he said. "I know." He smiled, opened the door, and stepped out. But before he closed it, he leaned back in. "Don't ghost me," he said. "I won't." And I meant it. I didn't expect him to text. I hoped he would. I checked my phone like a maniac for 2 days straight, every buzz sending a jolt through my chest. But somewhere deep down, I figured maybe it had just been a moment. A weird, beautiful, too fast to make sense kind of moment that didn't survive past the vineyard. But on Tuesday night, my phone lit up with an unknown number. "Jordan, hey, it's the wrong seat thief. Jordan, I've been thinking about you." I stared at the screen for a full minute before replying. "Me. Wow, you actually texted me. Jordan, don't sound so surprised. I keep my promises." "Me. Most guys don't." Jordan, "I'm not most guys." He wasn't. That much I already knew. We started texting that night. Just light stuff at first. What we were watching, what we were eating, dumb TikToks. But it didn't stay surface level for long. By the end of the week, we were texting like we'd known each other for months. Inside jokes, weird confessions, everything. He sent me a picture of the vineyard, said the wedding was fine, but he kept thinking about that morning drive. About me. I didn't say it out loud, but I was thinking about it too. Constantly, we had this rhythm. Morning, hope you don't have too many Zoom calls texts. Midday food pics. Late night, you up? Messages that turned into actual conversations, not just flirty filler. And then, one night, he called. It was close to midnight. I was already in bed, lights off, scrolling like a zombie when my phone buzzed. "Hey," I answered, voice groggy. "Hey," he said. "Sorry, did I wake you?" "No," I lied. He hesitated. "I was just thinking about you. Couldn't sleep." I didn't say anything, just smiled into the darkness. You ever feel like something started too fast but still somehow feels right? "Yeah," I said. "I do. I keep replaying that drive," he admitted. "The way you looked at me before you kissed me back. That silence. That clarity, I guess. I haven't felt that in a long time. Me neither. It got quiet again, but it wasn't awkward. Just full, like always with him. Then he asked, "Can I see you again?" "You mean in person?" "Yeah." "When? Tomorrow?" I laughed. "You're bold." "I just don't want to wait. We already wasted enough time not knowing each other." And damn if that didn't hit me right in the chest, so I said yes. He booked a train that night, said he'd rather not fly unless I planned to give up my seat again. The next afternoon, I picked him up from the station. He looked the same, gray hoodie, backpack slung over one shoulder, but the moment he spotted me, his whole face lit up. I hadn't seen someone look that happy to see me in a long, long time. "Hey, stranger," I said as he reached me. "Still stealing my seat?" he asked, grinning. "Only if it's next to you." We didn't kiss right away. Just stood there, kind of awkward, kind of stunned, like we couldn't believe this was real. But the second we got in the car, his hand found mine on the gear shift. And that was better than any hello kiss. The first night he stayed over, we didn't even touch. Not like that, anyway. He slept on the right side of my bed, back to me. Both of us too aware of the air between us. It wasn't because we didn't want to. It was because we didn't want to ruin it. Like if we moved too fast, the spell might break. The next morning, I woke up to the smell of coffee. Jordan had found the mugs without asking, figured out the French press like a pro, and was sitting on the couch in one of my old sweatshirts, legs folded under him like he lived there. "You sleep okay?" I asked, rubbing my eyes. He looked up and smiled. Better than I have in months. I joined him on the couch, the space between us shrinking more, each time one of us reached for something. By the time we finished our coffee, we were sitting so close our thighs were touching. Still, we didn't talk about it. Not that day. Not the next. He ended up staying 4 nights. We cooked together. I introduced him to the weird indie game I'd been obsessed with for weeks. He made me listen to the sad music he only played alone in his apartment. We didn't go anywhere, not really. Just a few walks, some late-night drives, and a quiet dinner at a Thai place that felt like a date even though no one said the word. And through all of it, we never talked about what we were. I didn't know if he was into guys before me. I didn't know if he'd ever kissed one before. I didn't ask, and he didn't volunteer it. Not because we were avoiding it, but because, for the first time in forever, I wasn't scared of not knowing. I just wanted to be around him. That was enough. The 5th night, I found him standing by the window in the dark, staring out at the city. "Can't sleep?" I asked, coming up behind him. He shook his head. "Just thinking." I stepped closer. Close enough that I could see the reflection of his face in the glass. He looked calm, but I knew him well enough now to see the gears turning. "About what?" He didn't answer right away. Then, softly, "What this is." I stayed quiet, not wanting to rush him. "I've never done this before," he admitted. "Not with a guy, not like this." "Okay, I didn't plan it, didn't expect it. And I don't know what it means yet." I nodded. "Me neither." He turned to face me, his expression more open than I'd ever seen it. "But I know I want more of it." I reached out and touched his hand. Just that. A small, simple contact. "I want more too," I said. And this time, when we kissed, it wasn't a maybe. It was an answer. The weekend ended, but Jordan didn't leave. Not physically. He packed up and caught his train like he said he would, but something stayed behind. His hoodie still smelled like him. His toothbrush was still in the bathroom cup. In my place, it felt different. Like it had absorbed his laughter, his way of moving through space like he belonged there. He texted me when he got home. "Jordan, back safe. Jordan, miss you already." That's lame, isn't it? Me. It's not lame. I miss you too. We didn't play it cool after that. We FaceTimed constantly. Quick morning check-ins turned into hour-long calls. Sometimes we didn't even talk. We'd just leave the video on while we worked, him sketching out building plans, me tweaking designs, both of us quietly living in the same digital room. He sent me a picture of his bed one night. "Feels too big without you," I sent one back. "Mine feels too empty." A week later, he asked if I wanted to come stay with him for a few days. I said yes before he even finished the question. His apartment was small, cluttered with models and books and half-empty coffee mugs, but it felt like him. There was a warmth to it, a personality. It was messier than mine in the best way. Less curated, more lived in. We fell into a rhythm instantly. Coffee in the morning, walks to the corner store, quiet dinners with candles and low music. We kissed in doorways. We fell asleep holding hands. We didn't go out much, but it didn't matter. We had everything we needed. One night, curled up on his couch with my head on his chest, he said it out loud. "I don't want this to be a sometimes thing." I looked up at him. "Me neither," he exhaled, relieved. "So what is it then?" And there it was, the question we'd been circling since that airport coffee. I sat up a little, propped on my elbow. "You want to be my boyfriend?" His smile was instant. Yeah, I do." "Okay," I said, grinning. "Then I guess you are." We didn't make a big deal out of it. No social media posts. No announcements. Just two guys in their 20s figuring it out. One look, one moment, one day at a time. But the next morning, he kissed me like it meant something more. Because it did. Being with Jordan didn't change my life in some dramatic movie montage way. It didn't erase all my doubts, didn't suddenly make work easier, or magically make me the kind of person who remembered to do laundry on time. But it changed the way I moved through my days, like I had a new undercurrent to everything, a reason to breathe deeper, a warmth I could carry with me even when I was alone. We started taking turns visiting each other on weekends. His train tickets filled a whole folder in my email, and we kept a shared calendar so we could count the days between seeing each other like little kids waiting for summer break. But the best moments weren't the big ones. It was the way he always left his socks in weird places. Like once I found a pair inside my cereal cabinet and he just said, "Uh-huh, forgot about those." Or how he'd hum while brushing his teeth, completely unaware, and how that sound would stay in my head all day. Or how, after falling asleep together, he'd always roll closer in the middle of the night and half-spoon me like it was instinct, like he was pulling gravity in his sleep. There was this one Sunday night when we sat on my balcony, both of us wrapped in blankets, a cold wind rolling through the city. We'd been quiet for a while, no music, no phones, just the hum of cars far below and the soft clink of our mugs on the metal railing. "I used to think stuff like this didn't happen to me," he said suddenly. I turned to him. "Stuff like what?" He looked over, eyes a little tired, but warm. "Meeting someone who just fits, you know? Like, I used to think I wasn't wired for it. Like, I missed the part of life where everyone else figured out how to let people in." I didn't say anything right away. Just reached for his hand under the blanket and gave it a squeeze. "You didn't miss it," I said. "You just didn't find the right person to let in." He let out a breath that sounded like he'd been holding it in for years. "You make it easy," he said, voice quieter now. "Being with you is easy. It doesn't scare me like I thought it would." That's when I knew we weren't playing house anymore. We weren't testing the waters. We were in it, really in it. After that, we started planning. Not the heavy stuff like moving in or joint bank accounts, but little things, trips we wanted to take, shows we wanted to binge together in person. He started sending me listings for apartments in my neighborhood, just out of curiosity. I sent him memes about couple arguments, like when he says he doesn't like cats but your cat likes him. One night, during another of our routine calls, he told me something that stuck with me. "You know that first day? On the plane, I knew something was different about you." I smiled, already teasing. "Because I let you steal my seat?" "No," he said, and his voice got serious in a way that made me listen differently. "Because when I looked back at you, you looked at me like you already knew me. Like we'd been in the same room before, just not at the same time. That stayed with me. The idea that maybe we were already orbiting each other long before we met. That maybe something, luck, timing, the universe, whatever, just finally lined things up. A few months later, I was flying to see him. It wasn't a special occasion, just another weekend, another bag, another set of pajamas in a carry-on. I boarded early for once and sat down in seat 2F, a window seat. I thought about that first flight. The wrong seat. The stranger who wasn't a stranger for long. And as I looked out the window at the runway, I felt something tighten in my chest, but not in a bad way. In a way that reminded me I was heading towards something solid. Something real. When Jordan picked me up at the station that night, he was wearing that same gray hoodie from the first time we met. A little more worn now. A little more hours. "You're late," he said, smirking as he pulled me into a hug. "You're lucky I showed up at all." I shot back. "Yeah," he said into my neck, holding me tighter. "I am." And that's how it started. With the wrong seat. And ended with the seat I chose. Right next to him.